Hello everyone, I'm Force McFreelove, and this is Speedplay Conclave number 22. We left off with a massive coalition against us, or defensive pact. Really they're the same thing though in most intents and purposes. We go ahead and attempt to peel back some of these council power reforms, and go ahead and just buy favors from councilors instead of switching favors with them, so as to not have to face them, just really undoing all of our efforts. We go ahead and hire on as an advisor our claimant friend who can't actually press his claims for whatever reason. So we go ahead and use them. We do actually have to call in some council support, but there we go. We've managed to pass our reform at first. We go ahead and pass over Andalusia to new vassal, and really just go ahead and move on from there. We have a few things we want to take care of. We do still have that Muslim Republic inside our country, and we may want to go take over Jerusalem while it's in an Abbasid revolt and thus not in a coalition against us. So that's really the best opportunity we're going to get to charge up against Jerusalem. I have been moving away from these distant invasions because with the coalition so powerful, we would be moving most of our troops to a place where we wouldn't really be able to reinforce them and just kind of hoping for the best, and it would be kind of thrown together as we wouldn't really get enough mercenaries to make a legitimate landing effort. Apparently there's now a crusade from Norway, which we're probably not going to try to win, simply because it's Norway and it's rather far away from us, and it doesn't really help too much. At any rate, though, we do gather all of these forces. We get the luxury of taking our time because we're only fighting the Abbasid revolt, and not the Abbasid revolt as well as the entire world around it. We go ahead and handle off some viceroyalties, get some armies organized, and in just a moment we'll be able to begin the invasion and hopefully just sort of roll through the area. Now, the Abbasids have been in this civil war for quite some time, I believe at least the last couple episodes. So it really shouldn't be that difficult. I'm not really expecting much of a fight, otherwise you'd figure they would have won or lost their war by now. So I figure they probably have some rather small armies. We have forces sieging all of the key areas, and we're starting to pull forces back. Now, while we might not actually try to win in Norway, we can get everyone in our aristocracy the Crusader trait. However, I had missed that massive army rolling in, and it's just going to destroy that first army. Everyone else starts fleeing south. We go ahead and drop those forces off onto the beaches, significantly south of the enemy army. The goal is now to just get as many forces as we can into the area and hopefully be able to meet them head on. We go ahead and drop an additional group in the Sinai Peninsula, and at this point it looks as though we might have significant forces. We've nearly gotten to a point where we can reorganize. It looks like they're going to meet us there, which is a little worrying. We go ahead and get there, and we're going to also pull in our retinue cavalry, who I didn't really want to use to save money, but at this point that's what they're there for. We do lose the battle though, which is significant, considerable, just every word for that sort of thing you can think of. That's not great. We do go ahead and raise our Italian forces. For whatever reason we weren't able to earlier, and they add a massive punch to our force. We go ahead and begin dropping off our retinue cavalry and getting all these additional Italian forces into the field, who will hopefully not only turn this around, but give us enough force to just overwhelm everything. We also have to shuffle around with our viceroyalties for a little bit, just due to inheritance and all of the messing up that can bring us. We do get an extra duchy, Diocletia. We give that away to a vassal of Croatia. Hopefully it'll all clean itself up in time, probably through some civil wars, although that's not necessarily our problem. We do go ahead and just grant those over and back to the war. We have a massive force at this point. It looks like the armies of the just entire Abbasid and Abbasid revolt have started to just show up. We do manage to win a battle out loud, and now we're just going to keep fighting, educate some kids, see what's up with them, go ahead and marry off our heir. And unfortunately it looks as though the Abbasid revolters did win. They got independence and ended our war, which is terribly sad. However, we could always just go back, except they are now in the defensive pact against us. So that is really just a bit of a bummer. It is an opportunity once there, now lost. We still can't seem to press our claim against Aquitaine. There's just apparently no reason for us to be able to do that. Now, I believe they did change their succession laws, and that might be what happened because their heir is different. Our claimant used to be their heir, which would have, I guess, helped. We do go ahead and just start attacking Norway, though, since I'm just a little upset, and we may as well go to Norway, help out the Crusades, get ourselves all these Crusader traits, and say that we were helpful. Because that's at least something that the game probably won't be able to steal from us several battles in and many occupations. So we are now a Crusader. Our heir is a Crusader. And we're going to go ahead and take a moment to just pass over various generals into the army in Norway, just so that they can all also become Crusaders. I'm vaguely sure, I could have just checked, but I'm vaguely sure you get a positive trait relations bonus between fellow Crusaders. So this will just bring all of our nobility together, at least for a generation, before they hate everyone who comes after them just for not being Crusaders. We get everyone we need to, so we go ahead and just disband that army. And there we go. We have a family of Crusaders, and the crusade manages to end just a few moments later, which is very nice. I would have been very sad if it had ended right as we got there. And still no luck pressing our claims in Aquitaine, which is still a little bit of a bummer, but not really so much of one. We go ahead and attack Venice, which shows that we have a massive army that we can get from Italy. Now that Italy's united, for whatever reason they didn't give us troops earlier, now they're giving us 20,000. And, you know, honestly, I am completely fine with them not giving us troops earlier on if they can give us that much. Apparently Muslims are attacking Rus. That doesn't really affect us very much, or at least it won't for a long time. We go ahead and just keep smashing into Venice, and now we'll just go take their one remaining province in Illyricum, which they've been holding on to for quite some time. They go ahead and surrender. We can go ahead now and do really whatever we want, because that army is massive and very helpful. We managed to get the province of Italia and the province of Illyricum back into the fold, and that's pretty nice. We've managed to finally get that. It took us quite some time. I'm also going to use this massive 20,000 man army to just once and for all get rid of our good Muslim republic, which is, admittedly, I kind of enjoyed having a Muslim republic in our country. That being said, it probably makes a lot more sense to just get a regular Catholic republic going on in our country. And it's a little upsetting because the largest branches of our dynasty appear to be the Muslim republic, as they just end up with a whole bunch of unlanded sons to manage their trade posts and whatnot. So it's inconvenient when I'm looking for family members to grant titles to, and most of them are Muslim, and we don't want to go back down that road again and just become Muslim again. It's a little counterproductive at this point. So we do go ahead, I mess it up and accidentally grant a county to one of our family members, even with the city in top. He just becomes a count and takes over a barony. So we're going to have to do a little bit of intrigue and assassinate one of the new people who I just gave a barony to, so we can just shuffle things around. It works out fairly quickly, though. And just like that, we have ourselves a new republic, a republic under our dynasty, which is actually Catholic. So with that all said and done, the coalition is massive, surrounds us basically everywhere, and we go ahead and first of all just marry off this Republican leader so he can keep up his dynasty and keep up control of the Republic. We go ahead and start raising forces up because we declared war for Jerusalem once again. We do have to fight the entire coalition, but look at that massive stack of Italian soldiers. We can just roll through Jerusalem, probably win it without really anything resembling a conflict at all, really. That's probably the best word for it. We also build an observatory, as we're now focusing on knowledge focus instead of stewardship, since we're already an awesome steward and ruler, but known as the ill ruler. We unfortunately lose our viceroy kingdom in Andalusia because they die. We just grant it away again. And various events, various battles, we keep charging through. And see, this is what I was waiting for. This is why we haven't been just charging into various places before. We go ahead and win, and the reason is, now that we have a massive army that we can just dominate things with, the rest of the world doesn't have time to basically make us pay for it. So that's very nice. We go ahead and find a family member to grant those territories to. And with that all said and done, we can go ahead and lower our forces in just a moment. The Abbasid Caliph, interestingly enough, wants a non-aggression pact. We go ahead and take it. If we're going to restore Rome, we need several of his territories. However, with this said and done, we can move into places like Aquitaine. We can move really just anywhere into the revolter states, and it'll be much easier. We go ahead and grant that viceroyalty for the third time in a moment. Basically, I felt like the inability to take over several key Roman provinces is balanced out by the fact that we no longer have to deal with Abbasid death stacks while we're just trying to reconquer people. So we do go ahead and declare another reconquest war just against the various kind of just middling areas in Alexandria. We're probably going to have to fight at least 2 wars, and that's before we can make a truce, or break our truce with the country that had owned Jerusalem. We go ahead and just raise mercenaries so we can keep our forces around longer, and we may even be forced to send our retinues. At any rate, though, we go ahead and grant the lands over to a family member, one who doesn't seem like he'll inherit anything, since we have had some trouble with vassals inheriting things in just weird directions. And with that said and done, we can move forward. We declare that second war. It looks as though that wasn't actually any of their territories, that was just the coalition members. We are fighting the coalition now, which could be a problem, potentially. And Italy has just kind of fallen into collapse, which isn't helpful either. That kind of limits our ability to project force. We also do not get anywhere near as much war score as I would like for the conquest of the one territory we're actually fighting for. So we're going to have to just siege out the rest of their countryside, which sounds like a terribly risky venture, especially with the rest of the world attacking us now. And it's basically exactly the thing that I had been trying to avoid, but I guess that's just how trying to avoid things works, is occasionally you just kind of stumble into it. Now, we don't really have enough troops to just keep attacking. We still try. Luckily, they do give in, and we just go ahead and pass those titles over and consider what it is that we can do at this point. And there really isn't all that much, to be honest. With the Abbasids truced with us, the Aquitanians not giving us our claims, we're really going to have to find some alternatives, and that's going to be getting the Pope to just go ahead and sign off on all of our claims, and we'll just take it directly under our control. We also start rolling back the council even further. There's only 2 reforms left. We start passing the first of those 2, getting all sorts of things from our councilors in order to support us. We are also facing some revolts in various territories, so we will have to deal with those fairly quickly, although I imagine it won't be too much of an issue. And anyway, so right now we have a lot of things going on. We're asking for lands from the Pope. We're fighting various rebels with our armies, just charging across various points throughout the world. And unfortunately, it looks as though the Viceroy of Italy doesn't really like us. So we put him on our council to make him like us a little bit more. He's still not entirely enthused with us. We do win the civil wars, or I guess just the revolts. We're going to just bring these forces back to Aquitaine. We try to improve relations with our various vassals, just in order that they might stop being a problem. Overall, though, it looks as though that might be something we have to deal with later. There is a holy war launched by one of our viceroys into Russia, so that will be interesting. We'll see how they pull that off. We've already kind of given up on being a contiguous empire, or one that makes really any sense, when we took over the north of Norway. And at any rate, we do still have to face these roughly worrying, powerful, factional peoples in our country. Hopefully we'll be able to take care of that, but that's a thing for next time. If you look, we are just dominating the score with our new leader, and the in-game screen is not very different this time around. But thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow.